What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first ever NERDgasm podcast.
NERDgasm!
This is really exciting. This is something that well, first let me introduce myself. I'm Alex,
And I'm Mr. Rick. You may know me from Splintered Reality. You may not. You may also know me from the No More Games.
No More Games on YouTube. You should check it out. We do some pretty fun stuff on there. We play a lot of different types of games. We play a lot of old games, play a lot of new games, and we kind of just
we're just goofballs.
yeah, pretty much just have fun doing nothing in those games. Just making fun of them, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's literally all we do. We just make fun of the games.
Which of course is that's the most fun part about it all is that one. Although we are serious gamers,
very serious.
We are very, very serious. We're not serious gamers, so yeah, you can enjoy gameplay and not have to be. You don't have to be made to feel bad about how poorly. You may or may not, or maybe this will be your ego boost.
Yes, maybe you can see us and you can be like, maybe I'm not that bad.
Yeah, maybe I could go pro.
Yes.
I could be the next ninja.
And that's why we're here.
Yes, let me be your Titanic.
So you should definitely give that a check on YouTube. Right now, the name is still The More You Know Gaming stuff. And changed it yet.
Okay.
The More You Know Gaming. But also be on the lookout for the name change on No More Games.
Yeah, there we go.
We're probably going to go ahead and put the link in the description below.
Of course.
For YouTube, for podcast listeners, you're going to have to go check it out.
Yeah, it would be just look up. We do two separate shows. We do the Retro Faux Show, and Shut Up and Play.
Yes,
which we just don't. I mean, we do podcast stuff now,
basically.
And so we are never shutting up.
Never not talking.
Never not. So yeah, man. We're excited today because we're getting a chance to. We're going to go see Captain Marvel.
Yes.
And we'll get to our excitement there. What kind of comics are you into, man? What makes your nerdgasm just pop?
For me, comic-wise, I am very story-driven.
Yeah.
I much prefer things to have a linear storyline rather than like one piece be its own entity and then another piece be a completely different thing. I like for the storylines to combine to make an even longer storyline, because it keeps you wanting to be involved with it.
Okay, so you're not really keen on the idea of these multiverses then?
Not so much.
Which is funny because I know something about you, about a specific storyline that you absolutely love.
I love. Okay, so possibly my favorite thing to happen in the comic book superhero universe in the past year is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
Now, I know you have not seen it.
I haven't seen it. Don't hate. Yes, I know I should turn in my nerd card now, but
it is probably from last year period, I would say it is probably a top 3 movie. Period. Not just comic book or superhero.
That's big.
But
because Bohemian Rhapsody is up there.
Bohemian Rhapsody is quite possibly my favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
I also love A Star Is Born.
Good call.
A Star Is Born is a great movie. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse hit pretty much every single nail in the coffin. The storyline is great. The characters are great. The character development is great. The soundtrack is amazing. It won an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It should have at least been nominated for Best Feature.
Oh wow, yeah.
For Best Picture, it should have at least been nominated. It was so many positives from that movie. There's only one negative thing, and it's not that big of a negative thing. Yes. But the only thing that I personally did not like about that movie was the way that Wilson Fisk was designed.
Okay.
The way he was drawn, he was he literally looked like a giant block.
Oh.
He just looks like a big square.
Okay.
That's it.
That's it.
Everything else about that movie, and then also another great thing about that movie, every character, as far as like the spider people, they are all drawn differently. Like they're drawn as if they were actually coming out of their actual comic. And like for instance, so you have Miles Morales, who is the main protagonist of the movie. It's about him taking up the mantle of Spider-Man after the Peter Parker in his universe dies.
Oh, okay.
So this is the Ultimate Universe, is what it's known as. The Ultimate Universe. So you have Miles Morales, and then you have the Peter Parker that we know.
Right.
But by this time, he's been Spider-Man for a long time. Like a lot of stuff has happened to him. He's on the verge of just giving up. And one thing that they made really poignant in the movie is Spider-Man always gets back up. There's never a time where Spider-Man does not get back up. There's always something that's going to keep him moving forward. Peter Parker has a couple more get-ups left in him. At the beginning of the movie, he has a couple more get-ups. So you have him, you have Gwen Stacy, who I love. Spider-Gwen also is her alter ego. And then you have Penny Parker, who is I forget what year, but she's from the future, and she's Japanese. So her character design was as if she was coming straight out of an anime.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the way that her spider powers work is she is mentally linked with a spider, and they are able to use a robot of her dad's creation. I think her dad dies.
Okay.
Her dad dies in her timeline, and she's probably one of my more favorite things in the movie as well. And then you have Spider Noir, who is a Nazi fighting Spider-Man from World War II. He's in black and white in the entire movie. There's even a nod in the movie where he's being introduced, and they're in a basement, and his like jacket is flowing in the wind, and Peter's like, "How is there wind? We're in a basement." It's such a good movie, and Spider-Ham is amazing too. Spider-Ham is literally drawn like a Looney Tune throughout the entire movie. It's great.
And Spider-Ham made a lot of appearances in like the What If comics.
Yes.
And
yes.
So yeah,
Peter Porker.
Yes.
But that movie is so good, Rick, where you're gonna have to see it, and then we will be able to do like an actual. We can do an actual.
We'll do
review
a full
on it.
review.
But that was probably my number one thing that came out of comic book superheroes last year.
So like, because of the events of Infinity War, yeah, they purposely created a vacuum for the superhero movies. Like, yes, you had Ant-Man and Wasp, which awesome, very fun.
Yes.
But it left that moment of oh, that was like the loose end that they really had to tie up before the next Avengers movie.
Right.
So having that, like, if you haven't seen it, get it. It's awesome.
It's pretty good.
It's good. Lawrence Fishburne, awesome. I love anytime that a movie goes into the question of, okay, we can do this, but should we do this?
Yes.
That's why I love the Jurassic Parks. That's why I love most like Frankenstein style films. Like, we can do it.
We have the ability,
but should it
be done?
Like, there's my degrees are in philosophy, so of course I love that overarching question of what makes us tick to the point of, like, if we have the chance, what are the repercussions?
Right.
Like that's cool. Super fun, super awesome. But it left it left Scott hanging out there in a no spoiler alert.
Yes.
It left Scott hanging out there in the microverse, and like, and you're just like, okay,
all right.
How are we gonna? So yeah, we went from like, all right, everything's good, everything's wonderful, to, oh yeah, crap. Now we don't even have Ant-Man.
Right. Exactly.
So,
but that also raises the question: is that because if you've seen the trailers for Endgame, you do know that Scott
Lang makes an appearance.
He's very much alive.
Yeah.
So that brings up the question: is the reason he was not affected by the snapping? Is the reason he was not affected because he was in the microverse, or was it just per chance, like the other half of the universe?
The snapping.
That's what people like to call it.
I love it. It's the snapping. What's and oh my god. So my brain just like skipped a bit because I was like, oh no, what's snapping now? And so like I just had rerun like in the back of my head, like telling me the story of what's snapping in the I'm so sorry. ADD is not something to joke about, but man, can it affect your life in a beautiful way.
See things totally differently.
You see it completely, and that complete just randomness. It's beautiful. Anyways, so that leads us to, of course, the end of the Avengers movie, where we get the symbol for Captain Marvel. And so we know the things that we know going into this.
Yes.
Is we know that we're going to see Samuel L. Jackson circa 1994.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that they CG him, but I hope that they really don't.
I kind of hope they don't either. I'm just really excited to see Sam Jackson with hair.
I'm excited to see him with hair. I'm excited to see him with both eyes open. With eyes wide open.
No
we
eye
went
patch.
all Creed because it's because 90s.
Full circle.
Copyright Warner Brothers 2000. I don't know when that was. Anyways, that's funny. I'm also excited to like see, because this should be Nick Fury before he becomes the director.
Yes,
Like
this is a much younger beginning of his time at S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury.
Right.
I don't know if they ever specified how long he's been there, but I think it's like the very beginning of him being there.
So, part of me wants them to do like they did in the comic books. Of course, Nick Fury has gone through many iterations.
Yes.
And part of me is hoping that they'll bring some of that, like the 1980s tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those were some of the most ridiculous comics.
Yeah.
But again, he's not wearing an eye patch.
No eye patch.
So
maybe also, speaking of that, I do wonder if maybe in this movie they talk about how he gets his eye patch. Or
yeah,
why he has his eye patch.
So the scarring that's around the eye patch, which is kind of a little reminiscent of Odin's eye.
You're right.
Like that, has a very similar scarring. So I'm wondering if we're going to. We know that we're probably going to be running into some Skrull.
Yes.
Which is awesome, because that means that maybe we'll also be able to bridge some gaps as far as Fox Universe stuff. Mm-hmm. Which, of course, if you know me at all, I have a love-hate relationship with the Fox movies
Yes.
and their Marvel takes, because they take such liberties.
They take a lot of creative liberties. Like, for their movies, they may use maybe 40% source material,
Right.
and then the rest is just like, we're gonna do whatever. And that's one thing. For instance, I think Deadpool got right.
Ooh, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, not only was he the perfect Deadpool, he was the perfect person to get that movie off the ground. That movie never would have happened without him. If it was not for him, it would have been another X-Men Last Stand.
Right. Indeed. So and we were talking about the things that we liked about last year's movie-wise. Deadpool 2.
Yes.
I loved that.
I really loved that movie. Honestly, personally, I think it was better than the first one. I don't think it was as funny as the first one, but as far as being a whole movie,
I think it was a better comic book adaptation.
yes.
Yes. I don't think it was better than the first one. I think it should have been the first one, if that makes any sense.
I can understand.
Because having that story, yes, we wouldn't have had that connection with Vanessa when they fridge her. Ugh. And which is hilarious if you've seen Once Upon a Deadpool, not
Yes.
twice.
Yes.
Once Upon a Deadpool, Fred Savage calls him out. He's like, you just totally fridged her, man. And I love that. That's great. But what the first movie should have been made second, because then you would have had the story kind of like jumping back. I would rather have an origin story as a second movie. Everybody says, "Oh, story first," every time. Mm-hmm. Like if you Captain America, Iron Man, all of these,
Yes.
origin story first. But why? Why do we have to play upon that? Like, most of these characters have such a following. What they should do is just jump right in, tell the story, and then go back, tell an origin story, because that's what they do in comic books.
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you been introduced to a new character, been like, wow, that character is awesome, this is cool, and then go, wait, but how did they get here?
Right.
You know, you fall in love with them. Or they could have done something like Lord of the Rings, where like they introduce you to Smeagol and like get him like, oh, we love Smeagol, like he's awesome, and then you're just like, oh, that's why he's Gollum.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
so you're more so thinking that, like, for instance, the route they took with Black Panther.
Right.
His introduction into the MCU was amazing. He was the best part of Civil War.
Yes.
And then they backtracked.
And gave you the full-on story. You already were invested. Here we are. We were talking about the best parts, and we're getting to some meat.
Yes.
We'll get back to Captain Marvel, I promise. Yeah.
Yes.
That was first off, amazing cinematography, amazing soundtrack.
Yes.
Amazing storyline.
Yes.
The fact that it was a superhero movie that was not about superheroes.
Yes. Also, we can talk about this movie for days, but we're gonna keep it as short as we can, because we have other stuff that we plan on talking about.
We'll get back to them.
Yes, we will, for sure. But Eric Killmonger is the perfect example of an antagonist who is not a bad person. He was done wrong and done dirty as his father was done wrong.
Right.
And because of that, he carried all that hatred, all that animosity throughout his entire life. There was no other way that he could be.
But think about how close that is to being a superhero beginning.
Yes.
Like how many... Like Daredevil. Holy crap. Daredevil. his beginning story is so similar. Like, his dad was involved with some bad people, and then next thing you know, like, things get turned around.
Yes.
Boom. Now he's seeking justice. Killmonger's just seeking justice.
That's all he wanted.
All he wanted was to be a part of this great thing that his father created.
Yes.
That's it. To be a part of that family. There's nothing wrong with wanting that.
Nothing. And let's just talk about the great job that Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman, well, everybody in that movie from top to bottom did a phenomenal job acting wise.
Yes.
I fell in love with Shuri like 10 minutes into the movie. After she appeared, and she stole the movie as soon as she got there. But Michael B. Jordan did so much better. If there was ever a redemption that someone needed in the MCU, it was Michael B. Jordan because of that terrible Fantastic Four movie.
Which was a Fox product.
Yes.
We're getting back to that.
Yes. Full circle. Full circle again.
Full circle again. That's Canadian for
if there was any person that needed an MCU like revival,
it most certainly was Michael B.
Jordan, because that Fantastic Four movie, awful.
Now let's draw another parallel, okay?
All right.
Who else played Johnny Storm?
Chris Evans,
exactly. Captain freaking America. So, like, what's great about Marvel Cinematic is they take talented people that they know are talented and then put them into a character that's more fitting.
Yes.
Funny enough, yes, okay, it was the same character that was started with. Johnny Storm should be, if we were to find someone to play Johnny Storm should be played by, like, I don't even know who's that much of a punk. Like, Johnny Storm should be played as a.
It would have to be someone along the lines of like a Chris Pratt or like a
someone that's silly.
Yeah, or like a Ryan Reynolds.
Right, of course, both of them, unfortunately for MCU, have already established roles. Although you can play Cable and Thanos in the same year.
Funny thing, whenever Deadpool was coming out and Josh Brolin was cast as Thanos, before I went to see the movie, it might have been like the day before I went to see the movie, I was like, I really hope that Deadpool said something about him being Thanos.
Yeah. And he did.
And in the movie, he's like, shut it, Thanos. And it was the best thing. It was the best thing that I had ever seen. I was very happy about that.
Well, at least you don't have a purple nutsack on your chin. Like, So there's a lot of really fun, cool things that have been going on, and if we were, origin stories do not have to be. I know you like linear.
Yes.
But what my thought process is that you can have relatively linear, but jumping back and telling a story to tell the story, that's a. If you'll pardon me, I'm going to stop my cat from eating my Hogwarts. That's an actual thing.
It's a thing that's happening right at this moment.
That's happening right now. This is live TV, folks. All right. Let's move that chair, dude. All right. Well. And we'll edit that out. No, maybe we won't. Maybe we won't edit that out.
This is authentic.
This is real. This is. I hope the camera's still rolling. Because that would be even funnier.
That would be
the
funnier.
Camera's not even
Oh,
rolling.
It is.
We'll just. It's like Schroeder's cat right now.
As long as you don't open the box, it's still.
And Then comes the cat. That's awesome. Anyway, so, but yeah, jumping back and telling an origin story is, I think that sometimes it serves the character better. Like, it definitely served Black Panther better.
Yes.
Knowing not just, it wasn't just like, oh, this is, well, it wasn't actually an origin story. Like,
it was parts origin story. It was more of a Killmonger origin story than T'Challa.
Right.
They did revisit his past, but it was only in the aspect of telling more about Killmonger.
Right. Because when he came back, timeline-wise, it was more of it was after the death of his father.
Yes.
So we'd seen that, but we'd also seen him act more within the MCU. So it's a little bit of both. There was a little time jump.
Yeah, just a
micro
little bit.
time jump.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But securing the throne, that was, yeah.
Yes, that was it was King T'Challa's origin story.
Yes. Yeah. There we go.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's
King T'Challa's
salute.
All right. Well,
So back to Cap, Captain Marvel this time. So did you were you into the Captain Marvel stories? Were you like what?
I was into them. I'm more so into them now. But I was into it like years prior to this movie being announced or anything like that. Because like I knew who she was. I knew that she was quite possibly the strongest Avenger. It was always a little iffy with her story because it could get a little confusing in points.
Oh, there's lots of twists and turns for her.
Yes,
because of course in the comic books she started out as Ms. Marvel.
Yes, Ms. Marvel.
And of course, if we're talking about Fox again, Ms. Marvel gets her power drained from Rogue.
Yes.
And so with the fact that we're introducing the Skrull, which is property that, if I'm not mistaken, should have been owned by Fox because of the Fantastic Four series.
Right.
If we finally cross that line where the Skrull are there, then should we expect a Rogue a Rogue wave? I guess, like, should we start expecting to see X-Men in the MCU? Like, is this going to be the final breaking point for that?
I think that with Disney and Marvel buying majority rights to the like Fox licensing and whatnot, I believe it will happen eventually. I don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. Only reason because Fox is still like the predominant owner.
Right.
Now, once they get full rights, they have Marvel has been like trying to make it so they can get X-Men and Deadpool and all that kind of stuff.
And Eisner, like, not to talk about the Disney Corporation, Eisner made a really, really cool statement. He was just like, Deadpool's Deadpool. He's going to act like Deadpool.
Right, exactly. Everything is going to remain the same with them, which is great because movies like Logan.
Yes.
And Deadpool. Logan, before I saw Black Panther and Infinity War, Logan, Logan was the best superhero movie I'd ever seen.
Oh yeah. I can see, yeah.
Like, that movie, I didn't see any fault with that movie. Like,
so I was hoping that they would follow more closely the Old Man Logan series.
Yeah.
They kind of hinted on a lot of stuff. about like how a lot of the superheroes were dead, this, that, and the other. Mutants were subjected to all kinds of craziness, and now are in hiding, like complete and total hiding.
Yeah.
What they don't mention is that at that point in the universe, the Hulks have taken over. And that's why there's no more superheroes. It's because the Hulks have killed them.
Right. Yes.
And my favorite part of the Old Man Logan, one of the series was Hulk and like the straight up like raw Hulk fights Logan and rips him in half and throws his torso one way and his lower extremities the other. Right. And so there's a scene where Logan's just like clawing back to his body. It's just like, oh my god. Like, that is so metal. So I was a little sad to see, like at the end, spoiler, see Logan die. Like, yes, I know in the comic books Logan has died countless times. Yeah. But seeing him actually die was a little heartbreaking. One. Yeah,
it definitely took me by surprise. The way that it happened. I knew it was going to happen, but the way that it happened, and then also couple things about it. So in X-Men, in the second Wolverine movie, not Origins. What was the name of the one after that?
Search for Money. It was the Wolverine. Wolverine.
Yes, in the Wolverine, the chick that could see into the future. Yeah, she told him that I see you dying with your heart in your hands. And Logan, when he dies, he's holding Laura's hand. Right. And he has grown a fondness for this girl. He loves her as his own daughter. Yeah. So he literally dies with his heart in his hand.
Exactly.
Also, a funny thing, if you talk about Deadpool 2, spoiler but not really a spoiler, whenever Deadpool is quote unquote dying, they're playing the same music from when Logan died. And it's the funniest little thing in the world.
It's a wink, wink, nod, nod.
Yes, exactly. Because for anybody that knows, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are literally Deadpool and Wolverine in real life.
Like, they're.
It's so great. It's so great. I love it so much.
If you look at a picture of Hugh Jackman when he started as Wolverine, and then you take a picture of him now, he didn't age. He is not aged. Not at all. He is indeed. He has a healing factor. There's nothing that you can do about it. Yes. Even a movie as bad as Kate and Leopold could not kill his career. That's a stretch. Could kill his career. Wow. Yes. That's a movie that everyone wants to forget.
Oh man.
So we're going to see Captain Marvel tonight. Yes. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be wonderful.
Very excited.
Super stoked. With that, I'm really hoping that they will kind of have a wink and a nod to the original Captain Marvel. So I'm old. I get it. So my first touch on Captain Marvel as a product was I remember getting the trade cover, like the graphic novel of the death of Captain Marvel. Okay. And Captain Marvel at that point was this white dude with an afro.
Yes. As hard as that is to believe, yes.
Oh, it was the 70s. It was like 70s, 80s. He had the big poofy blonde afro, and it was, but it was actually a really cool story because Thanos was his big rival, and so when Captain Marvel dies, Thanos asks Mistress Death to allow him to go to hell with him, so he would be able to continue this adventure with his greatest rival.
Right.
And that's such a cool, it's such a cool Ken Ryu kind of thing.
Yep.
And they all start that adventure together.
Right.
And it also leads to Thanos being obsessed with Mistress Death.
Yes.
So you've got all of these little things, and for those who read the comics or those who haven't read the comics but are completely into the MCU, in the comics, of course, that's why Thanos is after the Gauntlet.
Yes, because he wants to be able to interact with Death.
He wants to impress her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and so
which is the main reason why it's the main reason why he wipes out half of the universe.
It's a gift to her.
Yes.
I will give you half of everything.
Right, exactly.
Everything in this universe, I'll give you half of it.
Yes.
And I'll do it like now. And there's this weird, twisted. It's a really cool story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very literal come to life of lots of figurative ideas.
Yes.
Like when Death is a person and you can talk to Death and Death's not interested in what you have to say.
Right.
Like that's meaningful. I mean, if we want to talk about emotionally, Death is not interested in your story. Death does not care.
Not at all.
Death got a job to do.
Yes. all Death cares about is keeping the dead people where they are.
It's keeping the line between the veil and what we see intact.
Yes.
If we're jumping trails, Harry Potter did a really good job with the curtain where he could hear Sirius Black beyond it,
right?
But could never reach him.
Yep.
Like that's such a one, reading that heartbreaking moment. Two, amazing visual. And I think that's what makes good storytelling is taking things that would otherwise be intangible and possibly illogical, and turning it into a reality that you can hold and be like, oh, yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling. Right. Like that's why we geek out. Yes. Because we have those moments.
You get this connection to the storyline itself, not even to the characters, but to the storyline itself, and it makes you feel. It makes you feel.
It just makes you feel.
Yeah.
Like
there's no better way of putting it other than that. Like it really just makes you feel a certain type of way, and it's just. How did we get to this point?
and when people say, "Oh, why do you like comic book movies?" There's
guys
running around.
It's the same thing over and over again. It's not the same thing.
It's totally not the same thing. But it's seeing the different ways that you can handle adversity.
Yes.
And feeling empowered enough to handle adversity.
Yes.
Taking an emotional plunge.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole father-son relationship, to get back to Black Panther, that choosing to be different than your father,
yes, and
then receiving even in the afterlife, receiving that pat on the back, saying, "Okay, you're going to do things differently. You're the king."
Yes, exactly.
I believe in you. That's
yes.
Like that is very Lion King. Remember who you are. Like this is like that's such a cool thing. that's why we geek out, and that's why we have those moments, because it allows us to have that catharsis, to have that emotional bond, and attachment, which is and sometimes it's hard for in society to express these ideas. So having that outlet, allowing us to express those, and making it okay to see the world in an emotional light, while touching upon some of those fantasies of being empowered.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I know. For me personally, one of the biggest scenes I've ever seen in a movie that like I was like, man, he really overcame what is happening is in Spider-Man: Homecoming. Whenever Peter he's approaching his final fight with Vulture.
Yep.
And Vulture traps him underneath a bunch of rubble in a parking deck. And Peter wants to give up. He's like, I can't do this. And then going back to Into the Spider-Verse, Spider-Man always gets up. Spider-Man always gets up, no matter how many times he gets knocked down, no matter how hard the path ahead of him is. And at first, when he tried to pick the rubble up, he couldn't do it. And then he dug down as deep as he possibly could, and he overcame what seemed to be impossible. And that's one thing I would say. I'm a huge DC fan. For anybody listening and not watching this,
we're still friends.
for anybody who is just listening and not watching this, I'm literally sitting here with a Batman beanie on my head. But if I'm being completely totally honest, the MCU movies are better. They are. Not to say at all that the DC movies are bad. I love the DC movies. I'm one of the few people in the world I feel like can say that about every DC movie that I've seen. I love them. But in Marvel movies, they really have a way of connecting with the viewer. Mm-hmm. Like, it seems like in every single Marvel movie, you can point out one part in each movie where you're just like, that was big.
Yeah.
Like I felt that on an emotional level.
Well, and like we can say that people are gonna hate me on this one, but there's the greatest thing about when Marvel was bought out by Disney was the fact that they allowed them to have that Disney magic.
Yes.
Like there's those moments where you go, oh wow, I see this, and this is just like, whoa. You have an aha moment. That's why we go see Disney movies, is because even though people say they're kid stuff, there's always that aha moment. There's always that emotional connection.
Right.
Like Iron Man 3.
Yes.
Often considered like the one of the most terrible.
It's on the lower side.
It's on the lower side. People don't particularly like it. But you know what? The fact that you have your superhero suffering from PTSD, and working through his emotions to rise above, you're never. Love me some Batman. I love Marvel, and I love Batman. And I know so many people feel this way as well, but I love Marvel and I love Batman. That's where I stand. And yes, some of the subplots. One of my favorite comic book characters of all time is Joker, because just like Deadpool, he understands he's in a comic book, and having that awakening of if you need the villain, I will be that villain. I will be that guy for you.
Sometimes he literally just does crazy shit just because. With no meaning behind it. He does that.
Yeah.
And he does it because, one, he knows Batman is going to come after him.
Yeah.
Two, he wants to prove to Batman that Batman is no better than him.
Right.
That's the one thing the Joker wants, is to prove to Batman and show to Batman that they are the same.
And one of the coolest, most twisted comics, but one of the best, Killing Joke.
Yes. By far.
Killing Joke, oh my god.
By far, in my opinion, not just because it's Batman related, it honestly doesn't have that much to do with Batman.
No.
Probably the best comic that I've ever read.
I would put it in the top 25 all-time comics ever written, ever.
It is so good. The questions that are brought up in that comic are, without a doubt, real, personal, like, actual societal questions that you can be asking yourself.
Yeah. And but again, this is what makes comic books important.
Yes.
Is because it gives us an outlet to ask these questions.
Yes.
I ended up writing a song called Sunshine and Lollipops. Shameless plug. We're going to be releasing soon, which is awesome. And if you happen to be anywhere on the Ides of March, you should come out to Slim's downtown in Raleigh, North Carolina, just because you'll see us play.
We'll see you.
And we will play that song for you, and you will love it. But Sunshine and Lollipops is about the Joker coming to the realization that the only person that ever truly cared about him is Batman.
Yes. Which is such a crazy take, but it's true because Joker honestly believes that. He believes that Batman is the only person in the world who understands him.
Yeah. And
at the end of the Killing Joke, they actually share a laugh.
Yeah.
Which is outrageous. And that's how it ends. For anyone who hasn't read the comic or seen the movie, it literally ends after Joker tells Batman a joke and they're both just standing there laughing.
Yeah.
And that is
they have spent the entire day beating the living hell out of each other. And then
they come to, I guess you'd call it an understanding.
They come to a draw.
And it's just Joker, he's like, hey, this is funny. This reminds me of a joke. And he tells the joke.
And then
Batman finds it funny.
And Bruce cracks up.
It's the craziest thing. It is so crazy and wild that it's so good.
It's so good.
But since we are on the topic of the DC universe,
DC, yeah. Since we jumped the train,
there's actually some news out in the DC universe. I don't know if you've heard this or not, but first, like I said, huge DC fan. Right. I am a strong advocate that Suicide Squad was a good movie.
Okay, I too share the opinion that Suicide Squad was a good movie.
The only reason why it is looked at as a bad movie, in my opinion, is because it was not rated R.
Ooh.
If it was rated R, it would have been written so much differently.
Yeah. It
would have been written how it should have been written.
So here, I've never thought about it in that respect. The thing that sends me off the edge about that movie is that, one, they can't have a villain that is not big, either with flames coming out of it or is just gray. And the little minion things reminded me too much of the clay people from the Power Rangers.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah, okay.
That hurt my feelings, especially because, like, if Enchantress were to possess people, she would just have them, like, glowing, like, green blood coming out of their face. Like, it wouldn't be as, like there. I'm hoping that you're watching this on YouTube so you can see me go.
You can see the visual. You can see.
Like, it was, that hurt my feelings because you have the setup of, I actually liked the way that they portrayed Enchantress.
Yes.
She nailed it.
Real quick, let's just say how great of a job Cara Delevingne did.
Yes.
She did so much better than I thought she was going to do.
She's actually pretty decent just as an actress.
She's actually a pretty good actress.
She carried it emotionally, and that's the hardest part, is to bring emotion to a comic book character.
Yes, that is hard.
Margot.
I love Margot Robbie as Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is probably the best casting move I've ever seen in my life.
We're going to put aside the fact that she's hot.
Yes.
Okay. We're pushing that aside because that's always the first thing when someone says, "Oh, she did a great job." The first thing, "Oh, you just thought she was hot."
This has nothing to do with that. Her portrayal of Harley Quinn was so good. Her and Will Smith made that movie. Their chemistry on screen is so good.
Did you see the animated?
Yes.
So if for those who haven't seen the animated Suicide Squad, there's actually like a sex scene between Harley and Deadshot,
and it's pretty funny.
It's great. Because Harley's all like, "I got an itch to scratch." I'm like, "Oh."
Deadshot wants nothing to do with it. He's like, "Why the hell are you in my bedroom and why are you naked?" And Harley is just hell bent on having sex with him. And she jumps on top of him, and she's like, I got an itch that needs scratching. And he looks at her. He's like, "Oh, fine." And then they just go crazy, and it is so funny. But they brought that type of chemistry.
They did
to the live action,
but they didn't bring Harley's. How she will utilize and use people for her needs.
Right. Which I do agree with. I do agree with that.
And that's one of the compelling things about her as a character, is that that's one of the things that she'll
very
do.
manipulative.
She's very manipulative.
Yes.
And you feel so sorry for her because, oh no, she's been manipulated by the Joker and this, that, and the other. And she's no. In the comic books, okay, he kind of starts her down the dark path, but she owns it.
Yeah, later on in her story, or in their story, should I say, she does she does play him a little bit. Multiple times. And
so I can't. The abusive relationship that they have is compelling.
Yes.
Very interesting in a very Bonnie and Clyde kind of way. But at the same time, she doesn't get the credit of being as smart and manipulative as she did. Did you see the extended edition?
Yes. I did.
So the way that she starts to play the other characters against each other, they should have kept that.
Yeah.
They should have. I know runtime. Sometimes you can't get into like side stories.
Yeah.
That side story was possibly better than the main story.
I can see that.
But that's again because Margot really did play her.
She did a really good job.
She played her as compelling.
Yes.
But I was a little upset at Will Smith.
Really, honestly,
I was. And it was because there was some parts where it was like he held back. Like.
Yeah, I can see that.
They allowed him to get tough. They allowed him to be strong. They did not allow him to be a force. Because him versus Flag, there's in comic book wise, no. Flag is getting his ass handed to him.
Flag doesn't stand a chance.
He's going to have his ass handed to him on a silver platter, maybe with a nice little garnish. Like I'm thinking parsley. Maybe a little sprig of something. We're talking like full on television commercial ass handed to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the news. Speaking of Will Smith, he is actually bowing out of Suicide Squad 2.
Oh,
which personally I'm kind of upset with, because I liked his portrayal.
Would you go so far as to say you're a little blue over it? That tickles.
That's an Aladdin reference for anyone who did not get it. But apparently the reason that he's bowing out is because of scheduling issues.
Okay. So what is he working on?
Suicide Squad 2 is still set to release in 2021, I believe.
Okay. So we got some time.
Yeah, you got some time. But for anyone who follows Will Smith, he is currently working on Bad Boys 3.
Because we need that. Why?
It's a very good question, but it'll do a lot of fan service.
Of course.
Whether or not it'll be, I don't doubt at all that it'll be funny because Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are.
Yeah, no. They're the precursor to Kevin Hart and The Rock.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
If they make something together, it's going to be funny. It might not be good,
but it's going to be funny.
It's going to be funny.
It's going to be entertaining.
Now, mind you, I love Will Smith movies. I don't know if there's one Will Smith movie that I don't like.
MIB 3.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it. The time traveling aspect of it, I was like,
I was pain.
Because I don't like when movies and movie universes, when they do all these things, and then later on down the line they time travel, because that ruins what you set up.
The continuity, you have trouble with the continuity
Yes.
of the... Okay.
Yes. I understand it in some aspects of it, but if you're going to time travel and kind of in whatever installment you're doing it in, going to erase what you did in the prior installments, I don't like it.
The only exception that I can find to that rule is I actually like Days of Future Past.
My biggest problem with that movie, I did not understand how looking back in someone's consciousness, and just looking back in their mind changes the actual past, because they never actually went back in time. They just went into his memories and changed the timeline. I didn't like that.
So here's in a philosophical way. Here's why I thought that it was like that. It was kind of a neat, because he really was back, but he wasn't. Yeah, okay,
right.
I dig it, because he was inside of his mind when he was in the 70s.
Yes.
Which, what was it, 70s or 80s? Whatever. Whatever, that timeline. The reason that I thought it was kind of neat was because it allowed you to play out things that they otherwise, if they would have kept with the continuity of the timeline, you wouldn't be able to really play with, because they forgot in the first 3 X-Men movies to even mention Sentinels, even though that is one of the huge plot points, that the government is trying to destroy the mutants, or at very least contain the threat.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, you know, yes, okay, the threat, it's there's no real threat. We know this. They're just people living their lives with really cool powers. So yeah, there's these overarching themes that should have been in all of the other movies, and I was happy to see them. Now, the thing that I thought was, like, yes, it could have changed. There could have been a lot of different ways to go about getting there. But I'm glad that they kind of swept away those first 3 movies.
Yeah.
Because they needed to.
Well, X2 was the best out of any of them. Last Stand, terrible. The Dark Phoenix plot that they tried to create, awful.
Horrendous.
Terrible. I really hope Dark Phoenix coming out. I really hope that it will be as good as I need it to be.
Yeah.
Because the Dark Phoenix storyline in the comics is
bomb.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Like, Jean Grey is a monster.
And no doubt.
It's just I really hope they stick more so. I hope they get it right this time. That's it.
Yeah.
I hope they get it right this time.
Yeah, because I would really hate to go to the movies and waste $13 on another Last Stand. Yeah. But anyways,
so back to
Suicide Squad.
So yeah, Will Smith is stepping down, and they are planning on they're in talks with getting Idris Elba to replace him. So
they're going to typecast him as the gunslinger.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. So I'm like, out of anyone that they could have,
he's a pretty good choice.
Pretty good choice.
He is.
I can't be mad at that. I think he might bring the grit that Will's so polished.
Yeah.
He is a solid actor. But gritty ain't his thing.
Yeah. I agree with that.
When in the scenes where he was in the leather trench coat, looking just like straight up fly, that's Will Smith.
Right.
Will Smith is very polished. Idris probably could bring that grit and just anger and anger with a cold-hearted nature. That's a complicated thing.
I could see that. I really could, because Idris Elba is a good actor. He's a really good
solid.
The only thing that I would have a problem with is kind of nitpicky, but he's a little older.
He is.
He's a little older.
He is.
Deadshot is in his early mid-30s, maybe.
Right.
Idris Elba, you can obviously look at him and be like,
he's in his 40s.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a little, like I said, it's a little nitpicky, but for me personally, I'm like that. Like for reference in Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Right.
I like those movies. They're good movies.
They're fun.
But I did not like that they cast Tobey Maguire because he's a grown man and Peter Parker is
supposed to be a teenager.
Is a high school freshman.
Right.
Which is great because they finally got it right. They did Tom Holland.
Yeah.
Who looks like a child. And he's probably my favorite Spider-Man. Tom Holland is probably my favorite Spider-Man.
I mean,
I get a lot of backlash for saying that because people are so in love and infatuated with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which I understand.
Well, it's because that was the first time that we saw our childhood hero up on the big screen.
Yes. Now, an argument that I always make through the 3 Spider-Man franchises, Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker. He was not a good Spider-Man.
Yes.
Andrew Garfield
was a
good
great
Spider-Man. Bad Peter Parker.
Terrible Peter Parker.
Tom Holland, combination of both.
He's the total package.
He looks like he's just some nervous kid.
Yeah.
And when he's Spider-Man, he just never stops talking.
Yeah. And that's the thing about then. That's what always made the comic books so compelling, is because he was the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yes.
And
that line that he says in Infinity War, where he's like, "I can't be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man without a neighborhood."
Right.
That is the pure essence of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He will do whatever it takes to protect New York City.
Yeah. That's his home, and he feels at home. And although he may not feel comfortable in his own skin, he's like, this is my realm. This is my world. I can't live without this idea. I don't know how many New Yorkers you know, but everyone that claims that they are a New Yorker is because they love New York.
They are that city.
They are that city, and I will argue to the hilt that the lifeblood of any city is the people that live it and the people that thrive within it.
Yes.
Like,
I agree.
Like that. If you talk to someone who claims DC, it's because they understand DC. You have someone that says, "Yeah, represent Miami." Okay, it's because you understand what it takes to do your best, and you're not just doing it for you.
You're literally doing it for the city itself.
Right. You want to see success. Like, I put out my stuff not just because I want to be like, oh yeah, I'm this, that, and the other. I've got my album on this distribution company, blah 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 blah. Like, if I could be the one that puts Raleigh on the map,
that's a big deal.
That's huge. Like, not just like, oh, the genre, but like overall.
Yes. That's a huge deal.
That's huge. And then people go like, oh yeah, he's from Raleigh. I love Raleigh. And like,
it builds and it builds.
It builds and it builds and it builds. And it gives the place that you're from a pride, not just in you, but
from people that are from there.
Right.
They're like, hey, I'm from there too.
Yeah, and then you have that instant connection. And like, that's what life is about, right?
Yes.
Is those connections. Blah, 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 blah.
So, one last little bit of news about Suicide Squad before we start wrapping up. James Gunn is actually writing Suicide Squad 2.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy.
James Gunn is writing Suicide Squad 2, so it'll actually be written the way that it should have been.
Right.
Now, I'm pretty sure that they are, as a cast, I'm pretty sure they're pushing for that rated R rating.
Good.
But even if it's not, with James Gunn writing it, I'm pretty sure it'll be.
I mean, as long as we don't have another... Or...
And just for anybody who does not know, James Gunn was the writer and director for Guardians of the Galaxy, both
right.
1 and 2, and now, also a lot of other products.
A lot of other product. But there was falling out over, like, there was
15-year-old tweets. I really hate when that happens.
I understand. Yeah. I understand why it happens.
I understand. I do, but I hate that because 15 years ago I was a completely different person.
Well, and if we really want to like get, well, of course you were. Well, 15 years ago, something was funny that isn't funny.
Right. Exactly.
Because we've learned, we've grown, and we've changed.
Yes.
And hopefully, he has learned, grown, and changed, and has become a better person as well.
Yes.
And that should be for all of us. Is that we are all learning,
constantly learning
sensitivities, like existing within a specific universe, the one that we're in. We have to seek a better understanding. Now, if he's still like making jerky comments like now, like that's unforgivable.
Yeah, that's
absolutely unforgivable.
But the simple fact of the matter is these tweets, he was barely a writer at that time.
Yeah.
I think he said he had only written or been a part of like 1 or 2 screenplays at that time in his career. And he was so much younger, and like you said, things that were funny then, the world doesn't necessarily accept those kind of jokes now.
I was gonna say, like, if you release Superbad today,
that movie would not do well.
That movie would be, 1, it would bomb. 2, it wouldn't be a cultural phenomenon at all.
Exactly.
It would raise so much ire. It would be the most hated movie of all time. Like, even worse than Jackass 2. Like,
yeah.
That's but when we think about it, like, how many of us were laughing hysterically in the theater, and yet, like, you think about like how horrible. Like, there's a line that I can't remember the guy's name. That's okay. He says something to the effect of, at parties, people get drunk and make bad decisions. We could be one of those bad decisions. And it's like, that's a horrible statement.
Yes, it is. But at that time...
At the time, that was hilarious.
That's comedy gold.
Right.
In today's society...
You're like, oh my God, he's talking about...
He's a monster.
Date rape.
Yes.
Like, that's horrible.
But that's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah, no.
But no, trust. I
no.
agree.
We should go down that road.
We
should say like what, especially in nerddom.
Yes.
What used to be accepted and what
is
now not acceptable.
Because it's a lot. It really is a lot.
Yeah.
But just to kind of put a bow on all this and kind of wrap it all up. Personally, I don't think that people should lose job opportunities for things that happened 10 plus years ago. If this was like 2 years ago,
it would have. So people should be responsible for the things that happen.
Yes, that is. They should be held accountable. That is very true.
I think that what we're coming to understand is that we should have a right to be forgotten.
Yes.
And I know that sounds horrible when you think about it.
But it's right.
But it's true. You should be able to forget that, you know, someone 12 years ago made a really dumb comment. At the same time, it doesn't forgive them for making that.
But you have to be able to let things go.
You've got to, that doesn't. See, here's the sticky wicket: is that yes, you should be able to say, oh, okay, you've moved past this, and see that someone's moved past this.
Right.
If we were to judge Drew Barrymore, everybody loves Drew.
Everybody loves Drew Barrymore.
Everybody loves Drew Barrymore, but Drew Barrymore was when in the early 80s, late 80s, early 90s, everybody knew her as someone who was partying all the time, drinking, being lewd, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
Right? And of course, there were like the half-naked pictures and things like that were coming out, blah, 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 blah. We were able to forget her.
Yeah.
You know? And so there has to be there's got to be a redemption. There were lessons
of some
learned.
sort. Yeah.
But there's got to be a lesson learned. But we should be able to. There should be an outlet for that.
Yeah.
You know, the problem with that we're coming to understand with social media is that nothing is ever deleted.
No, everything can always be resurfaced.
Right.
Any one person that disagrees with you on the smallest subject, they can bring up something and ruin everything for you.
And you can say things out of anger, or you can say things out of spite that later down the road you may have already made peace with that person, but it's in the public record now. Yes. And so you have to think about that. Mm-hmm. Like, that's crazy.
Right.
Wow, we just took this from really fun to really deep. I might edit that out.
I think it's good to keep it because it's important. It's an important topic. But we do have to kind of wrap it up. We were talking for a good little while.
But yeah, we over an hour.
So let's we were gonna talk a little bit about some things we didn't like about comic book movies and superhero movies.
Yeah. We'll get to it next time.
Yeah, we can do that next time. But also be on the lookout. We're going like we said, we're going to see Captain Marvel in a little bit.
Yep.
We will be doing a review on it after we see it.
Yep.
It will most likely be spoiler heavy, so watch with caution.
Indeed.
But this is something that we both have been looking forward to doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like it's gonna be good. You can look out for we're gonna talk about a bunch of different stuff throughout this podcast journey, we're going to talk about movies, music, TV shows, games, anime, anything that
if it's nerdy, we're going to
talk about it. Like
yeah.
we're gonna have something for everyone. I feel like.
I think so.
And then every so often we might end up having another guest with us. Who knows who's gonna?
You never know who shows up.
Exactly, that is very true. Because we know a lot of people that like to talk about a lot of different things.
We're all pretty nerdy.
Yeah. So be on the lookout. We'll have another podcast relatively soon.
Yeah.
We're probably whenever we get done with this first one and probably like the next one or two after, we're probably gonna do maybe 2 a month, 1 or 2 a month, something around there.
If not more.
Yeah, if not more, depending on how much we want to talk about stuff.
And it depends. Yeah, because we got a lot out. Yeah. Very cool.
So we might actually do more than. We'll talk about it.
All right.
But yeah, so this was NERDgasm.
Hey, I hope you guys had a NERDgasm too.
Yeah.
And we will catch you on the upswing. I am Mr. Rick from Splintered Reality.
I'm Alex from across the street.
and she's still Jenny from the block.
Yes, exactly. And if you're on YouTube and you like this video, please, give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a subscribe, all that good stuff.
If you're listening on whatever podcast thingy
Rate
that
us.
you get 5 stars, say that we're amazing. If you don't like what you hear, my name is Diana Ross, and these are the Pips.
Even if you didn't like it, still give us 5.
And then just say, "Oh my God, I can't believe you guys said that." And then maybe
we'll take your comments into consideration.
Yeah, no, we do. Yeah, well, I'll listen to you. I may not change anything, but we'll
definitely listen to them. We'll read them. Maybe that's it.
Oh no, I'll put it on the speech reader thing, and then. Yeah. Do you remember that little animated thing, that red thing, like you typed?
Yes,
yes, I love that. I used to make it.
What was it called?
I don't remember. It was like I don't know, but I used to make it sing Bicycle Bill for 2 all the time. Yeah. Anyways. All right, guys. Catch you on the upswing.
See you guys later.
Bye.